Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Blue Dragon 5 here.
And Jacob Lyle.
And it's time yet again to explore the vast catalog and find out what's a must or a bust on Disney Plus. And tonight, we're talking Loki, Season 2, not Breaking Bad, but Breaking Brad.
Breaking Brad. Dragon, I didn't expect Loki to start cooking meth this episode.
It was an unexpected turn.
Mischievous turn, you could say.
One could say, yes. We kind of opted for green instead of blue, but yes.
Yep. So all joking aside, this was an interesting episode to say the least.
Yeah, Jacob. So yeah, we did the first installment with Tiki. Now we got you on. I presume you've seen both episodes now.
Yes.
What do you think so far?
I like it so far. I mean, I have to wait to see if it's as good as the first season, because it's only. I'm assuming this is also going to be only 6 episodes.
Yeah, that's confirmed. It's only going to be 6 episodes, Jacob. Yeah.
It's like so. I can't say like so far it's as good as the first season, but who knows? Maybe the remaining 4 will match the quality of those, if you will.
Yeah. I mean, how did you feel overall about Loki season 1 anyway? Like,
I mean, like I said,
guess you don't have to rank them necessarily, but like in general, how'd you feel about it?
I mean, as far as like the Marvel shows go, I still think that probably WandaVision is probably my favorite of all of them. But I'd probably put Loki probably right under it, or maybe third. I mean, I know that's not saying much because there isn't that much there in the first place. But
what's the second one?
I said either this or another one.
Okay.
I said this would be second or third.
Right.
I mean, because I like because Loki's a great character. It's always interesting to it's kind of like the first Marvel series to follow like a quote unquote villain as one of the main characters.
Though you don't want to call him a villain in this episode.
No, definitely not.
But gonna get cubed.
I mean, here he's more of obviously in this series he becomes more of an anti-hero. So it's but still an interesting perspective to take. And of course, I'm kind of a sucker for the whole retro futuristic thing. And I like the overall aesthetic of it and everything. And then, as you mentioned, and of course, the fact that it basically leads into the whole Kang the Conqueror thing, which is pretty interesting. But overall, yeah. Like I said, I wouldn't say I don't know if this one would count if I would put it as high as the first one season just yet, but it's still fine. It's still time to tell its story, so I'll wait to rank that. But I personally did enjoy. I am enjoying this season so far. I think I think that it's I will say its pacing is probably better this season too, because it's already established itself, and it can in this season it could basically get going with both feet. Basically start with both feet running, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so. And of course, the introduction of interesting new characters and concepts, kind of set it apart from the first season as well. So I'm hopeful. I'll say that much.
Okay. Yeah, I think this episode was very performance driven. Good performances. I thought it was very. Yeah, I thought it's interesting where we've changed show. I looked into this because I was a little unsure about the specifics of it last time, but indeed. We have changed showrunners, or at least head writers on the show. Basically, whoever's leading the charge, we've changed it. We had Michael Waldron from Rick and Morty. He did the first. It was pretty much he was the showrunner. I believe he might have been the head writer as well. That was the first season.
And I think showrunners and head writers are basically the same thing on these Marvel.
I mean, you're see, Jacob, in TV, as I'm sure you know, the writer is king when it comes to the TV series compared to the movies. The movies, you have the director's vision, and the writer. It kind of flip flops in that regard. Now, yes. So it usually goes hand in hand. At the very least, what you think you'll find most often is usually whoever writes the first episode often is the head writer / showrunner who is leading the charge and breaking pretty much all the episodes, and then it gets handed off to other guys. And now we know. Let's just say recently there have been some developments with the strike and stuff. The actors are still on strike. The writers have resolved. Not only I'm bringing it up with a purpose here because without getting too into it right now. The MCU on the small screen, the Disney Plus plan as it goes right now is kind of they're in trouble, and they're going to see some ripple effects with the resolutions on the writer's strike. Now, I'm not saying I think Loki's going to be exempt from that right now because that was all kind of handled before that. But it's been a recent development, and I think Loki is right now. Loki is exactly what the MCU needs, is to kind of get people back on board and just kind of get. I think the show's been really strong with 2 episodes in for season 2. And the reason I bring up
I'm just saying, I think the reason why Michael Waldron's not involved as much as the head writer is because he's also obviously his work on Doctor Strange in the upcoming Avengers movie.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know why he left, Jake. I'm just saying that in shifting, we had one of the. This guy is one of the writers from the first season. He did, I think, he did the last. He did the He Who Remains episode, and he did episode 4. And episode 4 bears some similarities to this one, which I found really interesting because we're in essentially. I mean, it's not one for one the same interrogation room, but essentially you had Loki, with Lady Sif in episode 4. And we have kind of basically the whole time, like the time holding cell kind of interrogation of sorts that's going on. So some parallels there. Anyway, what I'm getting at is that I can't tell you exactly how, but I don't know. I think our new guy, our new writer, kind of leading the charge on this. I think, as you said, Jake, with the pacing and everything, I think this season's been really tightly plotted. I mean, I'm sure it's assisted by the fact that we kind of laid out the fundamentals in the first season, but then again, we shifted the status quo majorly with all the Kang stuff. So we're kind of starting fresh, and it feels like we're kind of reinvigorated a little bit here.
I mean, and that's another thing. This is actually the first Disney Plus Marvel show to get more than one season.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. We're in uncharted territory here. The first the first one to get a second season. The next one being What If, and yeah, that's what I'm saying. So right now, I mean, there are some storm clouds brewing right now for Disney Plus. Sadly, with Daredevil, but I don't want to speak to that too much here. But yeah, it's this. I think Loki right now is really what they need. I'm hoping it's going to kind of build like wildfire, where we have Loki on the small screen. I'm rooting for the Marvels because I think it's had some really good trailers.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, so this episode, yeah, I'm feeling. I think it's really performance driven, and yeah, we're still building the Kang nicely. We have not gotten to him yet, and I mean, I suspect next episode, either at the end of the next episode or in the middle of next episode, we're going to reintroduce Kang, but we'll see.
Or one of his variants, anyway.
Very true, but right now we've seen a clip from this season at the end of Ant-Man.
Fair enough.
So that said, I mean, the presumption, you're right. We don't know full on. We have no idea. It could absolutely be a variant, and that's very easy to do because we know a whole bunch of variants, a whole bunch of Kangs coming, kids.
Victor Timely, specifically the one mentioned in Ant-Man.
That's the thing. I think the running theory is, I mean, it's not, I'm not going to say confirm, but I think the running theory is that Victor Timely is probably the same Kang from the Ant-Man movie, and that's what happened to him. But you're right, variants, we have no idea.
Yeah. The count could be any one of the member of the Council of Kangs.
Yeah, we're name tags to keep track of them. They got to pull that Spider-Verse move, Jacob. They have hello, my name is, and I'm from this universe.
Yep.
All right, so
it makes it harder when most of their names are the same.
Yep. All right. So, breaking down the episode a bit here. So,
breaking bread.
Exactly. Which, of course, the title I did rather enjoy, even though it had no bearing on Breaking Bad at all. But it was a cutesy title.
And they do break bread, so
that they do. Well, they almost break bread. They almost literalize that.
Yeah, so it's it was a very intense scene too. For a moment, you also almost think he's going to go through with it, but we'll get to that.
All right, so 1977 London.
Oh yeah.
You got Loki and Mobius in their tuxes crashing the premiere of.
Loki cleans up quite nicely.
Oh, of course he does. Yeah, we've seen him in suits, but he's always cleaned up nicely.
I know. I'm just saying we rarely see him in a tux.
Yeah, you're right. We haven't seen him in the full tuxedo, so it's a first.
I mean, we've seen him in suits before, but never a tux.
True. So, and plus it's like the frilly 70s tuxes, too.
With the cravat.
Yeah, the cravat.
This is a cravat.
Okay. So they're crashing the premiere of Brad Wolf's film Zaniac. Now, a couple things break down here at the whole Brad Wolf Zaniac thing. So one, X5, who's really basically X5 is one of our TVA hunters, and he basically went off. Essentially, he went off mission. He basically and learning the truth that Loki and everyone that had kind of discovered last season, that and B-15 had discovered. All the TVA guys are are variants. They've all like had lives before they were plucked out and basically kind of presumably mind wiped and put at the TVA or something.
Basically, they're all suffering from an existential crisis.
Yeah, they're all dealing with that, and this is how X5, who was very much just kind of prickish in the last episode, and we kind of see that's what we're kind of playing with here. Is okay, this guy, it wasn't like a favorite of the nameless hordes of the of the of the hunters, and now he's like, you know what? Maybe they're right. Maybe I should kind of kind of walk my own branch here,
And
and
he
that
began,
branch is stardom.
yeah, yep, with a movie called Zaniac.
Yeah, no, Zaniac. I did a cursory glance. Zaniac's actually like a bad guy. So Brad Wolf is the character Zaniac. At the very least, I forget if the actual character's name is Zaniac, but at least this Brad Wolf is a comics character. Brad Wolf did fight Thor, so that's where a lot of that's coming from. I forget if he actually became the Zaniac thing, but he had like a weird power too. His power was energy knives. He could throw knives in the shape of energy, or
Huh.
energy in the shape of knives, more accurately.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like, so yeah, he's not taking the whole existential crisis thing too well.
Well, I mean, relatively. I mean, he's rather
I mean,
selfish about it, but you're right. He's not doing the right. He's not broaching it well.
I mean, he definitely made a name for himself. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, he claims that the movie's like it's not a horror movie. It's an elevated thriller. It's real cinema. He's kind of pretentious about the whole thing.
Absolutely.
It's like as if like any other movies could not be considered real cinema.
I gotta wonder if that's maybe a subtle barb at the whole Scorsese stuff.
I mean, it could be like interpreted that way, but
Yeah, it could. I mean, anyway.
I mean, cinema in any form is an art, and it's up to the beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah. So, got a little Loki chase going on there, which is nice. I love the move where he's using the. Go on.
It's nice. Like I'm probably leading to what you're about to say, but
go on, tell him about it.
It's nice. It was always like it's nice to always see Loki like employ his powers of mischief. Like it's not something we got actually not something we got to see a lot last season. So it's good to see in like full front this time.
Yeah, we kind of pulled a move from What If here with Loki. We did the Nick Fury thing where he's all the multiple infinite Nick Furies, and now he is he was like the rambunctious angry mob.
It's like and Brad only realized it when he like swung like
the lead pipe at one of them
at one of the hooligans. And and like when it phased through him, he's like, "Of course." He's like, "Of course."
Yeah.
And it's like, "Yep, it's Loki."
And then we have this really cool bit where Loki uses like shadows to catch him, and the shadows grow the horns and everything. It looks really cool.
Which it was really cool. Correct me if I'm wrong. We didn't actually see him use a lot of his powers last season.
Well, yeah, I could be wrong, Jacob, but if memory serves, I don't think his magic works at the TVA at all. I don't know if that's because he had the collar on or not. That's what I can't remember. I'm trying to think back in season one if he could use his powers while he's at the TVA.
I think that's right because otherwise he would have tried to escape like the trial he was at. So
yeah.
So I think you're correct in that regard. But
he still had the collar on though during the trial. That's what I can't remember. Like if he's been able to use it outside of that though.
But yeah, actually seeing him use his powers once again in a way in that way was actually really fun.
Yeah.
And as he said, the two shadows grabbing Brad and like growing the horns, Loki's back. That's the god of mischief we all love.
Indeed, he is. So just to speak for a moment too, this episode really does. I think intentionally we're reminding folks of kind of the point of the show here, where it's we kind of take a Loki who is very much traditionally bad guy Loki, who does not have the development of of the Infinity Saga of Loki, but it's the very interesting kind of like episode 1 kind of thing we had way back in the first season, where it's like, hey, what if we took Loki, like post Avengers Loki, and we confronted him with his heroic, or like his arc of becoming a falling on the side of angels once again.
And his death in the arms of Thor.
Yeah, and to see if that's going to spark a change in this guy. Like, how's that guy going to react to this? So it's kind of, we're getting back to basics there, which I do think is smart here, and but we're not like, it's not in your face, but it's not in your face either. It's just the fact that you know we're throwing around the terms, we're labeling him a villain and everything. We're kind of like, we're dipping our toe back in the water. Like, how does Loki feel about this? How is, like, Loki is kind of like airing rather heroic, but he's still we're bringing back a lot of the villainous touches that we do love about the character. And last season there was a lot of manipulations on Loki's part here, where he was kind of trying to game the system a little bit, but he's also kind of like going through an arc and kind of like waking up to certain things. And at the end of the first season, he made the right call. He made the good guy call with Kang. He said, no, we can't kill him because maybe this guy has a point. And
the one benevolent variant of Kang, it seems.
Yeah, the apple-eating Kang.
Like, for all we know, there could be a couple other good Kangs out there, or not evil Kangs out there, or ones that want to conquer the universe or multiverse.
It's possible,
but it seems to be a very rare breed indeed.
I love that Kang got an action figure too.
He Who Remains.
He Who Remains, and he comes with the apple.
Nice. Do you have the action figure?
I do not have that. I've been sparse on the Kang ones because there's gonna be so many variants of them, literal variants. I don't know. It's because you have there's already 3 of them. You have He Who Remains. You have Kang. The Kang from Ant-Man. Then you have like the blue version of Kang from Ant-Man with the blue face, which is really cool.
Yep.
Anyway, so God bless Marvel Legends. I love that action figure line. They're wonderful.
Yes, I don't have any. I don't have any of them, but
I know what I'm asking for Christmas, though.
Okay.
Well, no. Well, that'd be cool, but it's no. I was gonna say there's one I'm salivating over, Jacob.
What is it?
They finally, after so much time, they finally put out D'Onofrio Kingpin from Hawkeye. So you have D'Onofrio Kingpin with the purple pants and the white and the cane
and the Hawaiian shirt.
No. Well, that one they haven't released that one yet. They might eventually, but no, it's just, I'm saying it's like the one from the open when he first walked in the episode. He looked just like Kingpin stepping off the page.
Ooh.
But and then next year, top of next year, they're coming out with Matt Murdock from Spider-Man: No Way Home, and he comes with the brick.
I'm a very good lawyer.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's great. So I already have the Daredevil figure from the Netflix Daredevil. But I'm so looking forward to. I need Matt Murdock, and I for sure need the Kingpin.
The life of a merchandise hunter, right, Dragon?
Well, it's not even that. It's just I love that show so much. As them putting out like anything with that show, man. Yes,
I know, but I know those aren't the only action figures you have.
Oh, of course.
Like we like collecting merchandise.
You got to be selective, though, otherwise, there's so many financial holes you'll fall into.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so that's why I didn't get into Star Wars. I'd be bankrupt if I went into Star Wars.
I mean, to be fair, Marvel's not much better.
Well, true, but if I stick to the MCU and with the Marvel Legends ones that they're kind of put down, I mean, at least I can pick and choose.
All right, but
anywho, getting back to the episode, yes. So it's just interesting seeing, Loki. He's kind of been making some heroic choices lately, and we're kind of touching base on that, like seeing how we're acknowledging how much he has changed, and also putting him against Mobius to see how Mobius is,
It is nice to see Owen Wilson back as Mobius. Like,
it's the sell of the show for him. I think for a lot of people, it's the dynamic between Loki and Mobius.
I mean, they went from these Mobius saying I can change Loki, I can improve him, to them actually becoming amicable and working together. They're basically friends now.
I love it so much.
I mean, it's kind of emphasized by the picture we chose. After, I'm jumping around a little bit, but after Mobius had an episode, Loki was like, "Want to get some pie?" Key lime.
Okay, let's get some pie.
Yes, let's get to that. And we'll bring it up again later in context of the plot.
All right, so we have an interrogation.
Yes.
We have some great acting. I seriously, man, this episode I think has some of Tom Hiddleston's finest acting yet. It's really good stuff.
When Brad was like laying into him with all the stuff that Loki couldn't even really deny, he was like, you really felt like Loki was like trying to like coming to terms with what he did, like that he'll never escape his past.
The best thing with casting Tom Hiddleston as Loki in the original Thor movie, and just in general what we have with him, and what I think this show, an episode, moments like this, really brings out very well, is you really buy that's Anthony Hopkins' son. You buy that. You buy that. Okay, that guy has a little bit of Hannibal Lecter in him. So I really appreciate when we have those moments with Loki where you have a guy who, like, I'm saying, like, look at the first Avengers movie. I mean, Loki can be rather menacing and terrifying in space there.
I mean, the first movie was made by Kenneth Branagh, who's obviously well known for his like Shakespearean work, and in a way, Loki is a kind of like a Shakespearean character.
Of course, he's like full on Richard III or whatnot, what have you.
And so, I mean, I know Kenneth didn't actually, probably fully make the decision because all the casting stuff usually falls to Sarah Holly Finn and all that. But I'm sure he probably had some say, and let's just say everyone involved in picking him for Loki knocked it out of the park.
You remember what part Tom Hiddleston was originally up for, don't you?
4.
Yeah, you saw. Did you ever see the footage?
No, I haven't seen the footage, but I read that he was like initially he auditioned to play 4 and even had, because he's a natural blonde too. That's the funny thing.
I had no idea he was. I thought he had a wig on in that. So you mean he's natural blonde?
I think so. Yeah, I think he dyes his hair for Loki.
That's interesting because now I think about it, he did have like light hair in that Warhorse movie, so I guess that would make sense. Yeah, I guess he does. I always thought, I don't know, I guess I assumed he had like brown hair, but like, maybe it is just really blondish. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, he has naturally curly blonde hair.
Nice. Okay. I learned something today. Anywho,
I mean, he pulls off the dark hair really well.
Yeah.
And
no, he does. I think it looks great with the dark hair.
I mean, occasionally he wears wigs, but I think or extensions. But this is like for Loki here specifically, he is actually dyeing his hair.
Yeah.
But go on, as you were saying.
Because we have the interrogation scene. We get some great acting from Tom Hiddleston here. I love that you see. I like that you can tell he's kind of peacocking a little here, but he does really care about Sylvie and he does want to make sure that she's safe and wants to find her. So you get the sense that he's not entirely kidding here. It's like, you know what? It's the tension of us, the audience. We're like, I mean, Loki might snap on this guy because we know he's kind of does it, but he has come He has come a long way.
But it's not actually. But surprisingly, Loki keeps himself composed and kind of, a lot of time like admits to what Brad is saying. But somebody else does kind of snap.
Yeah, Mobius. He loses it, man. When he this plus X5's been pushing Mobius too because he made fun of the jet ski, so he had this coming.
Yeah, it's like the jet skis. You don't make fun of the jet skis.
Do not make fun of the jet ski, X5, Brad.
Like, why do they always use the name Brad for like jerk characters?
I think there's only I've seen only two likable Brads.
Yeah, who are they?
Even one was kind of a meathead, so I don't know if he counts. You have Tim Taylor's son from Home Improvement, Brad. And Space Force, you have a dim-witted Brad, but he's a nice guy.
All right.
So I guess it's 2.
But yeah, like if they have a name like Brad, you can almost guarantee that they're going to be jerks.
Pretty much. Except one. There's one great Brad. That's a real life Brad though. It doesn't count.
Brad Bird.
Make that 2.
Okay, who's the one you were thinking of?
Well, he had obviously a Brad Bird. I was thinking more actor. Brad Garrett.
Brad Garrett, yeah, he's a nice guy too. Plays jerks, but he's a nice guy.
Yeah, but not jerks named Brad.
No, but he is a nice guy though.
Wonderful. Anyway, so
and technically Brad Bird's first name is Philip.
Wait, really?
Yeah, his full name is Philip Bradley Bird.
I had no idea his name was Philip. That's
Considering how much you know about Brad Bird, I'm
I
surprised.
know, right? I don't know. It's just always. It's just everyone ever talks about is always called him Brad. I didn't know like the Philip thing. I mean, I guess it just seems like weird. Why wouldn't they just call him Brad?
I mean, he probably most likely prefers to go by Bradley. I mean, that's how he professionally goes by. So.
All right. Well, there you go.
I mean, I know. I mean, he's one of the many people that go by their middle name.
All right. I don't know. I was saying. I don't know. Every time I've ever heard anyone talk about it, they've always used it anyway. So, let's see. Anyway, getting back on point.
Yeah, so, but to be fair to Brad, his breakdown is kind of understandable considering the whole situation that he's in.
True, but still, I mean, look here. While that's true, he knows that they're not gonna do anything like prune him or anything. They're not gonna. Well, Loki's another story, but at the very least, he knows like, okay, these guys get it. They gave me the idea in the first place. You have to wonder why he's playing hardball, because we know for the ending he wasn't directly manipulating or trying to lure him into a trap. He was trying to avoid the trap altogether.
Yeah,
that's the thing. But that also brings about another question.
Mm-hmm.
So Brad. Well, here's the thing. Brad was having a grand old time, in essentially a branch that. Well, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to think about it now. Initially, I was thinking Brad was hiding in a branch timeline, but if he was time traveling, he might have just been. I mean, in the past. He could have just been. Yeah.
They confirmed that he was on the sacred timeline.
So that's yeah, you're right though. My apologies. So he's fine. Never mind, he's fine. But yeah, but regardless, though, it just feels like why is he? Well, he has nothing to lose then if he's just hiding on the sacred timeline. He doesn't really have anything like to lose by saying like, "Hey, save all the other variants." So Brad is being really selfish right now. Like, why he's just withholding this information that ends up getting a whole lot of people killed.
Who knows? Because he's a jerk.
That's exactly. So that's the thing. So Brad, understandable to a very small degree, but still, it's like, hey, Brad, look, you can have your thing. Just tell us where they are, and we'll put you back there. Which, I mean, they almost make that bargain. If he hadn't been such a jerk, they might have been more amenable to that bargain.
Yep. But as we mentioned, Mobius snaps.
He does. Well, not only does he snap, he slaps. Like, bam, slaps him in that smug face.
Yeah.
You're a silly man.
Like, let's just face it, Brad did deserve it.
I just love that line. He keeps saying, "You're a silly," because he calls him a nothing man. You're a silly man. Silly man. It sounds like something yeah.
You're a sad, strange little man.
I know. Sad, strange little man, but silly man makes me think. It sounds like some Norm Abrams from Freakazoid would say.
Norm Abrams!
I'm touching Norm Abrams! I'm holding Norm Abrams above my head!
Of all the fandoms that Freakazoid is a fan of, why is it Norm Abrams?
Well, Jacob, he's one heck of a carpenter.
Yeah, he is. I'm not going to deny that.
Yeah, I mean, can you carpent?
No, I can't carpent.
Can you woodwork? Can you?
I mean, I took shop in high school.
Were you any good?
I got like a B+.
Still not Norm Abrams, though.
I know.
Okay. I mean, do you look good in flannel?
I mean, I can pull it off pretty all right.
Well, can you pull off the cut sleeves flannel, though? Like, can you have forearms showing, or do you not have forearms to show?
I don't really have forearms to show.
That's what I'm saying. You got to pull it off. He's the poster child for. I mean, forget Bob Vila. Forget Bob Vila. Okay, Bob Vila.
Flannel.
I'm just saying with the flannel. I mean, Norm Abrams. That's where you want to go.
I mean, Richard Carnum as Al pulled it off pretty well too.
Well, yes, but he's a fictional character, Jacob.
I know. I'm just saying.
Norm Abrams is real. Darn it.
So is Richard Karn. He's real. He's the person who played him.
But he doesn't often wear flannel.
Okay.
Outside of his character.
You don't know that, Drake. All right, let's move on. Anyway.
So, point being, we'd have the interrogation scene. Doesn't go well. Ends in a slap. We have the pie scene.
Yeah, Mobius is like, He's like, I'm fine. Like, are you sure you're fine? Yes.
It was tactical. He's just making up the lie. That was tactical.
Like after Loki was like talking about being tactical as well.
Yep.
Like, and then Mobius is the one that snapped, and then like where are we? He's like, I don't know. I was following you. I was following Mobius. You were clearly ahead of me.
It's just the delightful scene. The chemistry is just very natural. It's very nice, and just the whole like he just sees his friend as flummoxed. Like, okay, let's. And this is like him repaying the favor that he's done for him since the beginning of the show. Like he essentially played therapist to him in the first episode, so it's like him kind of returning the favor here. It's like, you want some pie?
Key lime.
Okay, let's get some pie.
It's like, you gotta admit, I'm not even a big fan of lime or anything like that, but that pie does look good.
It does look, Jacob. I always had like a firm thing against key lime, but it does look super tempting.
Yeah, what do you have against key lime?
I like regular lime more than key lime. I just don't like. I've tried key lime. I just don't like it.
But what is the difference between lime and key lime?
Key lime, it's like, I don't know. I guess regular lime is more of like, I guess, more lemon lime ish, and the key lime is I don't know if maybe, I guess, fruity's probably the right. I can't even say fruity's the right term, but it's like it's almost like it's kind of like a light. It's usually like a gelatinous sort of thing. I don't know. It's just kind of just doesn't feel like it's like it's not as sugary. It's not as like it's not like a sour and sugar. It's not pure flavor. It's just like here. I don't know. It's
All right, that
maybe it's too fruity if that makes any sense. Again, hence the key lime. It's like more of, I don't know. It's like more fruity versus like kind of like candy like. I don't know.
like I mean, like, and then like, I wonder if they have different kinds of pie in there because I'm more of like a pumpkin pie guy myself.
I mean, it's an automat, Jake, and automats have all sorts of pies in those little glass containers. So it's, I mean, I'd assume so because I mean, he did say, they're gonna have all the pies. They're gonna have all the pie flavors there at the TVA. It's all, Jake. It's probably all the pies through time in a '50s looking diner.
I mean, just look at all those pies in there.
There you go. Look at it. Literally, pies, but 3 walls of pie.
Like, I guess I wonder if there's like a pumpkin pie in there because I love pumpkin pie.
There's gotta be, Jacob. There's gotta be.
It's like we always talk about food on this channel, but just look at how green that pie is.
Yeah, of course, just really good choice with the Loki green of it all.
Yes.
Yeah, but also automats are seriously, automats do not get the credit they deserve. I mean, they're really, obviously you're kind of lacking the freshly made food quality, but it's packaged so nicely.
I mean, just look at that pie.
That's the thing. Automats have display on their sides. Plus, look at all that green in that room between like the green pies, the green setting, the Loki, and all of it. It's great.
Yeah, and Loki and Mobius are the only ones in that scene too.
This is nice. I adore everything about this scene. I love that it's a I love the mundanity of this scene. I love the pie. I love the fact there's being able to commiserate in a way. It's like non-combative. Just they feel like friends, and also it's addressing the status quo shift of the seasons here in episode 2. After we handled the immediate crisis of like, okay, we need to reestablish the thread of the season, and we also need to like with the time slipping thing with Loki. That was essentially what episode 1 was all about. And episode 2 is kind of like that kind of unpacking the debrief from everything that's happened. We're okay. Mobius has learned a big status quo shifting thing after he survived near death towards the end of last season. He learned that he's a variant. How does he respond to that?
And also what all happened in the previous episode with Loki and shifting through time.
Yeah. So, and Loki, on the other hand, here he's dealing with the villain thing in the interrogations. So again, he's very much in Mobius's role, like a guy who's supposed to be in control and be kind of the white hat who's kind of taking more of like Loki's being very much a team player this season at the TVA because he's just going to welcome himself to that role.
It is kind of nice that he's like actually trying to help them, but he doesn't really condone all their actions, but he's like trying to save those here that he cares about.
As we establish later, whether Loki likes it or not, the TVA. I mean, as far as America, we established in episode 1, technically the greatest power in the universe that he's aware of, because like the Infinity Stones don't even work here.
It's like, yeah, because we saw like a whole drawer full of them.
So based on that logic alone, it's like like Loki, he recognizes the power of the TVA, but he also sees, I think, the potential in it, and it's like, hey, like it or not, bureaucracy or no, the TVA is like the only prayer that we have going up against Kang.
Like whether Sylvia likes it or not.
Of course. So anyway, so we have this thing where Loki, Mobius is admitting to Loki, it wasn't tactical. It's like it's okay. I understand.
It's like,
Do you remember that time I rebelled against my father and my brother, and I held New York hostage, and it goes on. I love this pool. I love this so much.
they're basically being bros at that point. He's like found a secondary brother in Mobius.
Yeah, it's like he's the brother I've always wanted, and he has a mustache.
It's like Thor, does Thor have a mustache?
Well,
He has
Thor has a beard.
Yeah, he has the beard without the mustache.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah,
But
he's the inverse of my brother.
but you can tell he actually did care for Thor despite everything that they did.
No, obviously, I'm getting at is what I really love is the whole Tony Stark anecdote, which of course that's a huge crowd pleasing moment in Avengers where he grabs Tony Stark and he tosses him out the window. Basically, the dressing like that was
That
was not a tactical move.
No, it really wasn't.
Just ticked him off and he ticked him off and he threw him out the window. There's no reason to do that. He just did it.
I mean, he's not wrong.
Yeah. So Mobius, I love this where Owen Wilson just plays this scene so well, where it's like a guy who is like, I'm content with where I am. He's like deluding himself, saying I'm content with who I am, but it's also like a real human fear of like, what if there's something good out there? What if all I'm going to learn is that you could have had it this good, had you not gone this journey? Like, can you handle going back to that and all that sort of stuff?
It's not a really common thing that we see in like portrayals of this kind of stuff. Like I got like usually a lot of this time like I'm content with this or like that, or they're desperately trying to get back to that life. But we very rarely see like from his perspective he's basically been conditioned to love the TVA, and like if he discovers this, it's like he'll feel like his life is wasted.
Yeah. So the pie. I gotta admit, a part of this does remind me of Men in Black 3. Or Men in Black 3, they have an epiphany over pie. Because remember, Case, you've seen Men in Black 3, right?
Yes, it's the second best Men in Black movie.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, so they go. That's the thing. So they go. Go get for the kids out there. They go get the pie. Case says, pie will help them think when they're at their low of lows moment and act like bridging into Act 3, and they get the pie and they get an idea.
I specifically remember like Josh Brolin was like, "Let's get some pie."
Exactly.
And how can you say no to getting pie with Josh Brolin?
And Josh Brolin, he ate that pie. He started to turn purple, and he said, "Let's go kill Loki."
Yeah.
Snap his scrawny little neck. It'll be great.
Yeah, that's sad.
So interrogation round 2. I love this scene so much. I mean, the scenes are on fire this episode.
This is probably like the best scene in the whole episode.
Yeah. So we have the God of Mischief really comes back here. We have this cubing device, which I love the analog technology of the TVA so much. We have no idea what this thing is going to do. It's going to do something horrible.
Oh yeah.
And anyway, so it's just the aesthetic of the TVA is always great. So I think so. He locks Mobius out of the room.
Like, which we're led to believe was not part of the plan.
And again, like the moment that you're saying, I'm convinced it's part of the plan until Mobius says, "This is the God of Mischief I was talking about."
Like and then I'll skip ahead. I'll skip ahead for this brief moment to cap that off. But like when he says like when he's talking about like, you mean like when Brad was like you mean that was and Moby's like, "Oh, a good actor." It's like he was acting the whole time, and he couldn't even convince the professional actor.
Yep.
Which I thought was like a very nice touch.
Oh yeah. So we use this cubing device, which I love how we demonstrate it. One, it feeds into like the kind of the glass, kind of bulletproof glass look of all the TVA tech with the temp pads. Because whenever they open a port, it looks like almost this jello-like or bulletproof glass sort of effect. We have like this three-dimensional like rectangle or rectangular cube kind of looking thing pop up, and they just kind of walk through like a doorway. So we kind of applied that here to kind of like a prison, like an interim prison cell that basically shrinks, and we see it like crush a poor little stool.
And like, just imagine what that could do to a human body.
So I love that we show that visually, and you know, I mean, Loki plays it so effortlessly as he accidentally stumbles upon this, where Moby's probably explained how the thing works.
Yeah, of course, we know that's how we know that's what happened.
Yeah. So yes, there's Loki just so cavalier about torturing Brad, and he's just you can see Tom Hiddleston just playing it so fun. He's just having so much fun, and I want to believe you, Brad. But you're such a good actor.
It's like Logan. I mean, you could tell he was having fun doing that.
When Brad's terrified, like yeah, I said some things about your mother earlier. Wasn't nice. I apologize for that. Mobius, get in here. So then he puts him in the cube, and then the cube starts to shrink, and I love it when it's in midair. Oh god, it gets so tense because it's getting closer and closer. And here's Jacob. It just does make me wonder, why is he withholding it so much if he's like being threatened by death? Even if he doesn't think Loki's going to do it, it feels like, what does he have to lose there? He's already gone off mission. He's already like he's it's like he's already going to get in trouble if either way. So I don't see why he's what that's like the one flaw I really have with the episode is like, why is he keeping it so like close to the vest that he's found Sylvie? You know,
No idea.
because he has nothing to gain or lose here.
I mean, well, maybe he just like didn't want to reveal the whole like time bombing thing.
Well, that's the thing. He won the time bombing, though. He doesn't have anything to do with that plane. He's going to be on the sacred timeline. I mean, now clearly, Doc said something to him, and I forget if we heard a little bit of that when we do the thing later in this episode. We kind of loop it in. I'm pretty sure. I think it was just her explaining the plan. I don't know if that was her like offering him a place in the sacred timeline in exchange for his help, because otherwise, why would she offer that just to one nameless guy versus the whole rest of them? So I'm thinking it was just like her saying, we're going to do this thing that we're basically going to fast track this so they can't stop us. That's pretty much what she said. I'm sure, and I'm pretty sure. So it just begs the question, like, he doesn't really have any, like, this is information that's just going to hurt a lot of people, and he's already feeling like, okay, I'm a variant, I'm going to let her kill my own kind, and I'm just going to run away.
Well, maybe we'll find out that more of the exact reason later on.
Fair point.
I mean, I'm not going to guarantee it because we've seen things like this happen in the shows in the past.
I think we just took a leap in the writing, and we're having such a good time. It's vaguely a we don't care. That's what I think it is. I think, okay, well, we need an interrogation scene, and let's not overthink it.
It's like, why is he interrogating him? We don't care.
We don't care.
The classic Pixar motto.
Did I ever show you the audio clip of that?
No.
Should try and do that sometime.
All right.
Anyway, so let's see.
But then like when like the door, like Mobius pretending the door was locked, like this isn't the mischief we talked about. Like
yeah, that's the line.
It's like we hear like urgency in his voice, like this isn't the plan, Loki.
Which makes us the audience think well, wait, is he gonna do is he going off script?
Like and then Loki's like, I'm gonna do a script of my own.
Yeah.
But then when he comes in, it's like hell of an actor. It's like, and Loki's like the plan worked. It was like, it was your idea, Mobius. Like it was Mobius's idea.
Yeah. Him like, getting back at a Mr. Nothing Man comment.
Yep. Silly man.
Jacob, speaking of food.
Yes.
I think we should go to McDonald's.
Yes, let's go to McDonald's.
80s McDonald's. Seriously, how great does this Braxton, Oklahoma McDonald's look?
It looks pretty dang good.
Plus, I think the idea too is like, I don't know if it's like a recently opened franchisee location or not. I know they were franchising before the 80s. I'm just saying that it was massively, but still, it does feel like maybe it was like a new thing for it spreading everywhere. I forget at what point we hit McDonald's where it was like literally all over the globe. Because remember, you saw the founder. You know what happened.
I did not see the founder.
Oh well. Well, long story short, they didn't start off with like all the locations. They had the franchise and one by one. So that was like it was like mid to late 50s. So by a certain juncture, I'm assuming 80s is probably when we hit the saturation, but still probably a new thing. Like we mentioned in episode 1, they just got chicken nuggets. So it's still pretty new, like we're still, that's what I'm saying. There's kind of a fresh kind of zeal to it. This is before it seems to me, this is like we're with the whole Breaking Brad of it all. Which I gotta be honest, makes me wonder with Breaking Bad and the Sylvie working at the fast food restaurant, is that a nod to Pollos Hermanos? Is that just a little bit?
I mean, I wouldn't know, Dragon. I would have no idea.
Okay. Anyway,
I mean, I've seen Breaking Bad, but I can't say for sure.
I'm just gonna throw it out there. That's the fact that we have a main character working at a main character who is essentially a bad guy working at the working at a fast food place and doesn't really care about her job. That's the main comparison. Things like Gus Fring loves his cover job. He loves running that Pollos Hermanos. In this case, Sylvie. This is her life now. She's very content with it. She's doing the best job she can working at that McDonald's.
Yep, she seems to enjoy it.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's free will. It's her choice. And McDonald's was the first thing there. And I mentioned this to Tiki, but since you weren't there for the first episode, fun fact: you might be wondering why Broxton, Oklahoma.
Okay, why Broxton, Oklahoma?
Well, in the comics, apparently, you know how in Endgame we went to Norway for New Asgard.
Yes.
In the comics, when they did Ragnarok, New Asgard was in Broxton, Oklahoma.
Huh, nice.
So it's kind of like a little bit of a parallel there. I think it's more like a deep cut sort of thing. Like, okay, Sylvie's kind of going to the other place that was kind of like a north. So we're not just duplicating the one thing. It's like where she's getting her new beginning in a sense.
That's kind of work, yeah.
Okay, so we have. I love Jacob that They find Sylvie. They have this really dramatic, well acted scene at a McDonald's.
It's like, and especially between Mobius and Brad.
Yeah, I know that's great, but I just love they have this big drama where Loki. These two characters have been through a lot. And, there's a lot of unspoken stuff, and with a big status quo thing at the end of season 1, and Loki's walking up there, and Hiddleston's giving his all, and, the silence between the scenes, working up the nerve to talk to her. And and he's ordering. It looks like from a distance, it looks like he's just really contemplating his order.
And then the nervousness and shakiness of his voice, when he says, "Hi."
Exactly. It's just so well. It's such a great idea.
Yeah, it's funny, but it's also like you understand why he's nervous.
Yeah. So on a break, he's explaining. He basically trying to reaffirm the stakes of the Kang thing. Basically, hey, well, Sylvie, you killed this guy, and I'm pretty sure he wasn't lying, and a whole bunch of Kangs are gonna come through. We gotta be prepared for that. And she's just focusing on her goal of we don't have to. I'm not running away anymore.
Yeah, I can see what you're talking about.
Now, admittedly, so I mentioned I mentioned the one hole in the writing for me, at least a little bit of a hole. But this one's not a hole, but this is like a thing where I'm a little. It's this one's more of a wait and see. He saw her. I don't think this bit read as well as they think it did in the first episode, where Loki gets pruned to save his bacon in the first episode by Sylvie. Gets pruned by Sylvie. First episode. And that was when he was traveling. I mean, I guess he was traveling to the future, but then again, I thought that was technically the past. So, but then he's time slips. He's going all over the place, possibly. So I guess that's fair. Either way, I don't think it, because we kind of said that he was going to the past, and then the present was essentially the future. He's sorry. Basically, I don't think it read that Sylvie traveled to save him. It read in the first episode that Sylvie explicitly went there to save him. That's what it read as to me in the first episode. In this episode, they're saying, okay, so he actually traveled to the future, which I don't think we established well enough that he was jumping to the future as well as the past.
I mean, I kind of got that when the thing fell. He's like, I was in the past, now I'm in the future.
No, I know that. That's what I'm saying. The future seemed to be the present, is what I'm getting at. So I'm saying he is going from past to future, but it didn't feel like future. It felt, but looking back on it now, with that in mind, there's nothing saying it couldn't have been the future. It couldn't say he's going the 3 timelines, past, present, and future, for all we know.
All right.
But that's neither here nor there. My point is, any way you slice it, I don't think it reads that, okay, Sylvie didn't just travel to save him. It just really reads as okay, so he did go to the future, and she is just there in the future to save him conveniently. So I don't know. We need more details. We need to see how it works, I guess, going forward. But I think that's a really important plot point that we maybe should have put a finer point that, okay, Loki had gone to the future at that point versus he's just doing the time slip thing. We don't know where he's at.
Well, to be fair, that might That might be that the reason why she's there might be explained in a future episode.
Because that's contextually, it probably does make sense. I mean, again, I'm operating on a leap of faith here because it looks like the TVA was in shambles and about to be destroyed, which would make me inclined to think that's Kang attacking the TVA in the future, which would make sense.
Yeah.
Like it'd be interesting, and again, we'll see this in the last episode potentially.
But
What if Loki traveled to the season finale?
that would be interesting to see.
That's what I'm getting the sense now, talking it through, Jacob. I'm thinking that's what happened. Which I mean makes sense, but I just wish we kind of said like I traveled to the future. If we only had that one line in the first episode, I think it would have maybe, I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah.
so he's bringing that up to her here, and she's kind of scoffing. I would never go back to the TVA.
Yeah, but then we figure out that Brad is acting very tense for some reason.
I love Owen Wilson in this. I love it. He's absolutely loving it.
That's like
Jacob.
He's loving it.
He's loving it.
So
I just love the fact. I thought you were setting us for an ambush. You were actually setting us up for a great meal.
It's like let's say this is a reminder of how crazy life is. Just like 10 minutes ago, I was torturing you, and now we're sitting having a meal like gentlemen.
It's great. And they have like milkshakes together. It's a whole thing.
Like I don't think I've actually had their milkshakes.
I have.
All right.
Not often, but I've had them.
Like I don't usually go there for their ice cream.
Well, neither do I.
Like Wendy's, if you know Wendy's, I have their Frosties, and then those are good.
It does sound rather tempting.
Yes. But either way, I haven't had their. And I don't think I've ever had their milkshakes.
I'm not a milkshake guy, and that's not like a distaste for milkshakes. I just really don't have like. It's always the weird thing of like I want a beverage with my meal, but not a dessert with my meal. You know.
Yep. Like
as the beverage, you know.
Like the thing is, like with Frosties, like it's a popular thing to like dip your French fries in them.
Yeah, I know. It's
salty and sweet. It's delicious.
I mean, it's fun, but can you really eat all the fries like that though?
I mean, no, but it's like just dipping the occasional fry in the Frosty. It's nice.
I mean, you could. I'm sure it's fine. Yeah.
I mean, keep in mind, like people have been dipping like their fries in their like ice cream shakes at diners for years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, so I mean, sure.
I mean, some people probably eat all their fries. Some people probably do eat all their fries that way.
There's like a whole disproportionate fries to milkshake ratio on that one.
I mean, like I said, I don't know. It's like I sometimes like dip one end in the milkshake, then eat that, then dip the other end in ketchup and eat that. I think
we're breaking down the mechanics of food too much right now.
Well, I mean, I'm just trying to say that's how I preserve the ratio.
Right. So, Mobius determines why Brad's awfully antsy, and he kind of he pieces it together that
Brad's like I'm not antsy. He says as he sucks like nervously on the milkshakes.
It was a Mobius. He goes outside and he basically they squeeze it out of him that hey, you know that Dox is going to time bomb all the other branch timelines, which is going to be a lot of variant casualties.
Yep, it's like which is a very, very evil plan.
Yeah, I mean Dox is a Scottish piece of work, man.
Yes.
Yeah, we know her name now, by the way.
Yeah, DOX. Dox.
Yeah, Dox.
If she's planning on like basically sending bombs to each individual variant timeline and eradicating them.
Don't you kind of want to punch this lady?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, they say we're not supposed to hit women, but I think she deserves it in this case.
I mean, she's like practically a time traveling immortal, so you know.
Yeah, so I think she'd be fine.
Yeah.
I mean, she'd probably prune us anyway once she got back on her feet or whatever.
Not truly. You kind of wanted to see someone prune her first.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's going on. So they learn that, so you're gonna foil that. Meanwhile, let's talk about OB. Let's talk about the breakout star of the show. Let's talk about
Ouroboros is kind of, you know what an Ouroboros actually is, right?
I told Tiki about it in the first. He had no idea what it was. The Ouroboros is like it's the snake eating the tail. It's the whole.
Basically, it's a symbol of the a symbol of like a cycle of death and rebirth.
And it does have some links in Asgardian to Norse mythology.
Yep. So
Also, fun fact, Jacob. I don't know if do you know this about the Ouroboros. This is what I told Tiki last time. Traditionally, when the Ouroboros unclenches, like when it like releases its jaw, when it like unbites the tail, that's the beginning of Ragnarok.
I think I've heard something along those lines. I mean, there are obviously different interpretations.
Yeah, there's always different interprets. Yeah,
There's always different interpretations in how Ragnarok begins. Like Skull and Hati following the moon, Loki firing an arrow into the sun, that kind of thing.
think about this though. Isn't this kind of nice? That if we were to take that and kind of like apply it to this show, it's okay. So Ouroboros, obviously, we're not doing Ragnarok again, but an ending of things, ending of the TVA, Ouroboros gets introduced. End
That is,
times.
yep, that is a kind of an interesting, maybe on the nose for those of us that know what Ouroboros is.
Yeah. Anyway, so Ouroboros here, he exposits long story short, here's what we said for the next episodes. We need Miss Minutes to open the blast door so we can install the new loom.
because the only other person that can open it is basically it's tied to the temporal signature.
Yeah, so basically, Miss Minutes ran away with Ravonna Renslayer.
And the only person that can open the gate besides Miss Minutes is he who remains.
Bum bum bum. Who is dead?
Who is dead, yes.
So I mean, also Casey, the kind of like not the intern, but Casey, just like the guy who works there.
Yeah.
Casey, I love how he fanboys with OB. It's really precious, it's the fact that he's
You wrote the book.
he wrote the book. Okay, could you sign like right next to your picture, like, hey, important information, guys.
Yeah, and then she's just like, guys, there are priorities here. Like the end of time.
Yeah.
Like, but Dragon. What we mean, Dragon. You can't interrupt fanboys like that. I mean, there's a time. There's like, you got to fanboy sometimes, right, Dragon?
That you do.
She's clearly never been to a con.
Clearly. Well, again, she's a very, and she hasn't quite learned that. She hasn't looked. We don't know what her actual self's like.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Maybe she hasn't been to a con.
Yeah. Maybe she has, but she doesn't know yet. She doesn't remember.
Yep. She's not a con woman.
Nope. So Loki, Sylvie, and Mobius.
Yeah, and Brad.
And well, they drop Brad off first.
Yeah, but then they go to wherever Docs is.
Yeah, you know where Docs is, but they're too late. All the time bombs have gone out. They get a location on Renslayer in Miss Minutes. The action sequence is rather good. It looks pretty good. So I'm thinking they're going to probably go a little above and beyond as we go forward, but still, this was nice. This was a good, good little sequence there, and do a little hand holding, like a little concussive green blast.
Don't think too much about it.
Don't read too much into this.
Yeah.
So the point being, bad stuff happened. A lot of variants have died. Sylvie has seen this and is blaming the TVA. So it's like, I'm not teaming up with those guys. This guy's a whole bunch of us killed because of the bureaucracy and following these rules and everything. We're not doing that.
Of course, she fails to realize that this whole thing is technically her fault.
It's absolutely her fault. Yeah.
But she's not realizing that.
Nope. So here. However, Jacob, there is a very interesting plot detail at the very end of this episode.
Go explain.
Sylvie, we see. So the end of the episode, Sylvie, I'm going to go back to my time, assuming it's still even there. So she's at the McDonald's, and
which was saved.
Yep, thank goodness.
Was that in the sacred timeline, or was that in one of the variant timelines?
I gotta be honest, that one I'm a little unsure about. I think it's a branch timeline because we did see a few branch timelines still on there after the bombing, so I think she's probably the immediate branch timeline. That was on the thing. I think it's a branch timeline.
I mean, it's probably a safe bet.
I could be wrong though. I think the idea is she can hide in branch timelines, so because of that, so that's how she'll never be found. That was her logic there. Like I don't think she's on the sacred timeline. That's my theory.
I mean, that makes sense.
Any way you want to slice it, here's the interesting detail. So she's on the hood of her car, is kind of like chilling out and everything.
And it's a nice truck, which is also green.
Also, a nice dynamic with I forget if the guy's name was Jack or not, but like the guy, like the manager of this McDonald's, he seemed like a nice kid.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Sylvie, she has the temp pad device, like the wrist mounted temp pad device that He Who Remains has. She got that off his body, so she knows something. She knows more than she's letting on. She has that device, and that's the one she used. That's the thing that caused Loki to time skip, presumably.
I mean, Loki said so much himself.
Yeah. Now again, I'm still wondering if like Kang might have had like something to do with that, but I think I was reading too much into it, so I don't really think that's the case. But there's a chance of it, regardless. Yeah. So either that temp pad or Kang had something to do with that time slip. But so because of this, Sylvie, I'm thinking potentially Sylvie may have time traveled using that device to the finale or to the future when she saved Loki. So I think she actually did travel to save Loki, but she won't admit it.
Yeah, that would make sense.
That's a theory, but that's what I've got.
Well, we'll find out.
Yep. Yep, and that's about it, Jacob.
Yep. Like we'll find out. This one, unlike the previous episode, this one does not have an end credit sequence.
Nope.
I wonder if they're going to have one at this season, at this final finale of episode 6. So
That's a good question.
I wonder if do you think if season 3 of this show's in the cards?
Well, right now there are talks about it. I mean, Jacob, from what I understand, Loki was planned as like a 2-season show. So at the minimum, I think if they're smart, we are going to give like at least a, for the most part, definitive ending on 2 with an opening of like, okay, if we want to do, like for example, if we did a Loki season 3, we might break away from I imagine season 2 is going to be the end of the TVA, and then 3 might be where we go from there, which is following Loki as a character, like a rebuilding of the TVA. Like for example, a lot of people I'm sure would probably speculate. I have not read this intimately, but Loki, Agent of Asgard. So we might have like a rebranding of the TV. I'm not saying like all Loki, but I don't know who knows. Like Loki doing stuff with Mobius just outside of the with TVA disbanded.
Well, we'll see. Like we'll see what the just like the god of mischief himself. This show can be unpredictable. So
yeah. So I mean, anyway, slice it. It does feel like I suspect what's going to happen, Jacob. Is I think this is me being optimistic. I think season 2 is going to do gangbusters, and I think it's. I don't know how long it's going to last, but I think it's going to do gangbusters. I think they might break the streak, and the finale is going to go well. And I think that's going to land them a season 3, or at the very least, land a lot of buzz for a season 3, and it's going to go well for them. I think.
I mean,
yes.
We could always use more Loki.
Now, mind you, when we're watching this, we are going to hit a weird bump, and it's going to be a weird bump just in the sense of I don't know how it's going to affect viewership, but when we do bring in Kang, everyone's going to tune in for that. Everyone's going to tune in for Kang. Everyone's going to want to see what happens there, but then you're going to have the people who are going to like have feelings on like let's bring him back. The actor who plays Kang, and I'm sure the internet's going to have a big old hissy fit, but we're going to have Kang back. So for better or for worse, we're going to see what happens there. And I don't know how that's going to affect like all the whole season onward talks and everything. Because if they're smart, Kang's going to be wrapped up this season, at least for the interactions he has with Loki.
They have been set up his appearances in the future.
Yeah, that's the thing. So, and season 3, I think is possible if they're smart. Like seasons 1 and 2 are the Kang story with Loki, and then 3 onwards it's his own. Anyway, so I've already said that, so I think we'll cap it off there. So yeah, that's episode 2, kids.
And like I said, we could always use more Loki.
We always could, yes.
There's a reason why they keep bringing Tom Hiddleston back, because we love him.
Yeah.
And like I said, he knocks it out of the park. Even if the material isn't always the best, he always gives it his all, and we always love him for it.
Yeah. So that'll do it for us tonight as we holster our remotes until the next installment calls for the draw. Mano a mano, just Plus&Us.
You silly man!
Let's get some pie.